What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Couple on Fire podcast. On today's episode, we are talking about unrealistic expectations that can kill your relationship. That's coming up
right now.
Welcome to today's show. We would like you to share it, if you would, please, right now. Help us out. We're going to edge out Mark Zuckerberg. We're going to show him who's boss, okay? We're going to beat those algorithms.
Oh, my goodness.
We're not paying him a dime. So today we want to talk about unrealistic expectations, but you want to hear something super funny is before we came on just now, I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie Four Christmases, but Vince Vaughn on there in one part, he does a part where he's getting ready to go on stage and he's going to act and he's like trying to get in the mode and he's saying red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. And we were trying to say it super fast. And you want to show everybody? It's actually pretty funny. We cannot do it. We could do it slow, but we can't do it fast. Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather. See, that's about as what.
You're better than me. Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather. I told him, I'm like, we have to wear one for the show. Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather. Yeah. He started laughing.
It is funny. It's actually really hard. It's one of those little tongue twister things. What's up, Marks for Marks? What's up, Sarah Devine? What's up, people? We are glad you're here. Today, we are going to be talking about unrealistic expectations in your relationship. Now, we know we can have unrealistic expectations of a lot of things.
In everything.
But definitely in your relationships. And it can really honestly be a huge, huge problem. I've seen healthy relationships go very unhealthy very quick because of these unrealistic expectations that we carry around. So before we get started, do you have anything you want to share, talk about, get off your chest?
No.
She's like, no, I'm ready. Let's just dive into this.
Not today.
All right. So number one, we want to talk about I can change him or her.
I love these ones. I love when I'm talking, especially to a couple, she's typically younger couples, when they're engaged or they're dating and they're talking about getting married, and one or the other is saying, you're like, yeah, they do this and I really don't like that, but I'm just hoping that they grow out of it, or that when we get married that it'll go away or we can work through it. And I am always like, no. Like, your partner is not perfect and they're going to have things that annoy you or agitate you, but you need to, when it comes to relationships, don't expect something that they do that annoys you or you don't like. Don't expect it or think that it's going to go away, because after you get married, it normally is magnified, whether it's psychological or not. It normally, 90% of the people that you talk to, including myself, think that things just get magnified after you get married.
Yeah, I think a big thing is, when we get into relationships, women go into the notion that they can fix the guy, right? Stop him from doing the things that he does. But the man thinks that, I'll fix her by showing her that I'm not going to change, and then she'll have to change. And I think that's kind of the mindset of the guy going into the relationship is, well, this is who I am, and I'm a guy, and this is just the things that I do.
Get used to it.
And she'll get used to it. And that's still expecting her to change, though. That's still an unrealistic expectation. One thing that I'd like to add to this about changing, though, is that a lot of times guys and girls, they don't think that they should do the things with each other that each other loves. And that is a big change, an unrealistic change. So I'll give an example, okay? So let's say that, Kristy likes to sit and watch movies, right? Because she does, right? She really likes to sit and watch movies. I have a really hard time sitting still. It's just, I don't know if I'm ADHD.
It's annoying.
It's annoying. Okay, there we go. It's not unrealistic, but I am annoying. So but I understand that as something that she really likes to do. Now, she doesn't ask or want to do it all of the time, but I love her and I want to be able to change and alter, and I do my best in every way possible, to sit and try and enjoy that with her because she cares about it. Now, it's hard for me, and I have to be willing to change and be flexible in those situations to make that work, and it's tough.
Mm-hmm. He's constantly having to get up. Sit down, get up. Sit down, get up. And see, me, I'm exact opposite of him. Like, once I sit down, I don't want to get up again. So
It's like a statue.
So I want to go around, get all the clothes put away, get all the laundry put in, get anything done, vacuuming, anything that needs to get done. I want to stay standing and go around and get it all done and be able to sit down and sit down. I don't like getting up, down, up, down, up, down. I just don't like doing that. But I think going back to these expectations though, too, is one major thing is when it comes to going to church or being saved. A lot of times in the circles that I used to hang out with and the circles that you used to hang out with, a lot of times if there was going to be a change when it came to going to church, a lot of times it was the woman leading as far as getting the family to try to go to church. So if you're with someone, whether it's male or female, if you're a male that's with a female, or female that's with a male, and you're the one that's wanting to go to church, and this person doesn't want to go to church, and you're thinking that you can just like, oh, we can just get married and eventually they'll start going to church with me, that you can't have those expectations on those people. You need to love and accept the person that you're going to be with and marry the way that they are. Yeah, everyone should be self-improvement. You guys can do self-development and but both people want to do it. And when you're going in there trying to fix them or make them a certain way, it's not going to work. Like I hear about a lot of women that talk about men that don't throw their clothes in the laundry hamper. They literally will throw them on the floor in front of the laundry hamper. And me personally, as a female, if he did that, I would take that as a sign that he didn't care about me. Like he's not caring about my feelings, and males just think, what's the big deal? Just reach down, pick it up and put it in. And it's like, just throw it in the hamper. He doesn't do that. Like if anybody would probably do it in this relationship when it comes to that, it'd probably be me. But he doesn't do that. And I hear things like that about women. And a lot of times that's just a relationship that needs to sit down, come together. And like Josh said, do things because you love one another. But it's also those little things that can drive your partner to the point of insanity that would require no extra effort really on your behalf. Yeah. Like instead of throwing it on the floor, throwing it in the hamper because you love that person and you don't want to drive them crazy. So I remember when him and I very first started dating, I don't know if he's even going to remember this, but we were joking around about stuff. And him and I joke around all the time. If anyone hangs out with us, we're constantly laughing and constantly doing something. And I said, we were joking around and I'm just like, yeah, punk, like that. And he was like, don't ever call me punk. I just don't like it. And I've never done it again. Not joking, not angry, nothing. Because if he doesn't like that, I don't need to say it. And a lot of people in relationships would be like, what's the big deal? I was kidding. Like, I should be able to say that. And next time they're kidding or joking around or even in a fight, they would say it to the person. And it doesn't matter to me how I feel about that word. If my partner does not want to be called that word or have that word used towards him, then I shouldn't, because I love him and I care about the way that he feels.
Yeah. I was telling a group of guys this week too that, relationships, especially when it comes to expectations, it's not a 50-50 thing. And I think that's what gets where the lines really get to be misunderstood in relationships is that, well, I'm doing my part, you need to do your part. And that is a false expectation. That's an unrealistic expectation. Relationships are supposed to be 100 and 100. There should never be, I should never be doing something with an expectation that Kristy is going to do something in return if I do this. That's an unrealistic expectation. I'm putting what I expect onto her. That automatically makes it unrealistic. Now, there's a difference between holding somebody accountable and saying, okay,
or being their parent.
Right. There's a difference in all of that. But understanding that you can't change somebody, you shouldn't want to change that person, I feel alone in my relationship. Okay, well, that's a communication issue. That's not a change a person issue. That is, am I doing my part? And if I'm doing my part and you really are doing your part, you can find some peace about that. And I know that sounds a lot more probably trite than it should, but it really is that, you can't change other people. You learn that through recovery. It's something that was really big in my own personal recovery is that, I had to remove myself from certain situations because I couldn't change those people in those situations. The only thing I could change was me. And when we look at our expectations on the world, I get full of these I shoulds, right? I should. No, I have to have a realistic expectation of me and of my spouse, right? It's my job to do my job. It's not my job to expect her to do this, that, and the other, or change.
And I disagree with him a little bit and I disagree with most people that say, I love the person that originally came out with relationships supposed to be 100-100. Like people were saying for a long time, relationships are 50-50. And then someone came out and said, no, relationships are 100-100. And at first I'm just like, wow, I agree with that. And now being in a really healthy relationship and we've been together for a decade, I disagree even with that because you're a human and you're not always going to be giving 100%. So on the days that he's only capable of giving 75% to our relationship, I know that he wants to be giving 100 and he's burnt out. So it's my job to give 125 that day. The relationship should always be at 200%. And if you really care about each other, you're going to give and take and pull and push when it's your turn. And there's a lot of times when I'm only giving 50%. If I'm working and I'm starting a new job and I'm just exhausted, tired, he's giving 150% and I'm giving 50. But I want to be giving 100. That's the difference. That's the difference where it makes it balances out or all comes out in the wash because he knows that as soon as everything calms down and the dust settles, that I'm going to be back to giving 100% again. And it's the same thing. So that's the only thing that I disagree with that. It's never going to be 100. I really don't think it'll ever be 100. We're human and we're always tired. It's going to be 105 and 95.
Yeah, but it's not like I like what you said though, because I feel like it's the same concept. So I feel like it's still 200%.
Yes.
It's still 200%.
Yeah.
So, and if you give 150 at one point and somebody else is not doing so well, you want to give that 150.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the whole concept of giving of all of yourself was really, I like your analogy way better than mine. So, give all of yourself, whether that's 100, 150, 200, whatever it is that you got to do to make up the difference.
Communication is key in all that, though.
It is. I mean, it boils down to, and I know it gets over talked even in like relationship books and everything, but communication, if you learn how to be a healthy communicator, like, and that means in confrontation as well, like healthy confrontation, where you don't get emotionally invested in your responses and all of these things. A lot of this stuff really starts to have an easier way of making sense. It does.
Yeah, because it needs to be, and a lot of it, when it comes to the communication, a lot of it comes down to the listening portion. So like if your partner's trying to talk to something that's really bothering them, the other person needs to be healthy enough to receive and care about their feelings and not get defensive about it. So really it's on the listening portion. Like if he wants to come talk to me about something that's hard for him, my expectation of him shouldn't be that he's happy all the time or that he can't come talk to me. If I'm burned out or I'm running around like a madwoman and not really paying attention to him, he should have a safe place if it goes on for too long to be able to sit me down and talk to me and say, hey, listen, we're not getting enough time together. And I should be respectful enough and love him enough to hear him out, really take a step back, think about it, and then acknowledge what he's saying. And us together as a couple make a plan to fix it.
And the dangers. Okay, this is actually something that's been a real struggle with me in our relationship. I know we're kind of branching, but I think it's important. We are branching. I think it's important, though.
But it's part of expectations.
Yes, there you go. I expect to be branching. So something that's really hard for me is I take it very serious about knowing Kristy. Like, I want to learn and understand her and be able to predict certain things about her because I know that if I do that, it really shows her how much I care about her and that I love her. Like it's like the way that I love her. But what ends up happening though is I actually get into a mode of I really stop listening to certain things because I'm already predicting the outcomes of something and I forget.
That's really going into number 2.
To listen. Yeah, it's true. And I forget to listen, and that's an easy thing for guys because us guys, we just want to fix the problem. My wife's crying. Okay, what do I need to buy or do for you to stop this right now? And 90% of the time it is they just want you to listen to them. And that's really hard. It's hard.
Because sometimes we just need to cry.
Because sometimes you just need to cry, but we don't want that, right? Yeah. So we want to do whatever it is to fix it, make it go away, and make it stop. And that changes the expectations of the situation and stuff, and that's a whole other podcast. But okay, so let's move on to number 2.
Because that's changing him or her and the expectations of it.
It is. They should know what you are thinking. You should know what I'm thinking all the time. We've been together long enough.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I actually think that sometimes.
I know.
And that's why this one is more geared towards, I think, women. Because there's a lot of times I have learned a lot. One of my biggest growing things is being able to talk to him about what I need in the moment. So instead, a lot of times us women will be like, well, they should already know what I'm thinking. And then if I'm like, well, if you want something, ask him for it. Like, hey, I want you to come sit down with me and watch a movie. I'm not going to sit down and start watching a movie and then get mad and frustrated because he's not taking my hints. He should just know and come and sit down next to me. And then a lot of women that I'm like, well, why don't you tell him? Like, hey, I want you to come down and watch a movie with me. Well, I don't want to tell him. He should just know. Well, I mean, that's kind of just counterintuitive to what you're trying to do, right? I mean, you're trying to have a good, happy relationship, or are you trying to have a combative relationship and just want to fight all the time, or you just want to be a victim, or you just want to be angry? Sometimes we get addicted to being angry or being upset or drama or chaos. And you need to be very keen and aware to that. So that's been something for me that's helped a lot in our relationship. I need you to tell me that I'm pretty more. I need you're not touching me enough lately, like adoring me, like rubbing on me, loving me. And it can be hard because sometimes if I voice it too much, I'm being a nag, and it can make him feel like all the times that he's trying so hard, it can make him feel like he's never doing enough. So this comes to the communication too. Like, I need to voice what I want him to do and not just get upset because he's not doing it because I think he should know my brain. But then other times I need to make sure that I'm not being a nag about it. I don't need to nag every single day. He's a person too and has stuff going on, and he might not be in tune with me every single day or want to touch me every single day. Maybe he wants me to walk up and touch him, So it's very, I think this one is more geared towards women.
Well, I definitely think so. I think that, when it comes to expecting men, we should understand, we should have a proper expectation that our wives are expecting us to understand and know what they're thinking. And I think that really gives us an opportunity to then talk to them and say, hey, I am a guy. I think differently. My mind processes things differently.
Don't use an excuse, though.
No, but I want to care. But if you communicate it often enough, they'll understand, like, it's okay. You can tell me these things. And if your response is good as a guy to your female wife, if your response is right, then it becomes a healthy exchange. Now, it doesn't mean that it doesn't get tiresome, okay, for either party. Sometimes it does, like Kristy said, and you got to find balance in it. But we have to have healthy expectations of how that works. The woman needs to have healthy expectations on expecting the guy to jump in her head, but the guy at the same time got to think to himself, like, she's always expecting me to climb in her head. Well, are you really pushing yourself to really know and understand what is going on in her mind? That's another thing that we just can't just expect, like, oh, well, that's just how she is. And that causes shutting down. That causes a lot of distance in your relationship. It can cause a lot of problems. So
it can. I agree.
True. Okay. Number three. They should know that I love them.
Mm-hmm. I think this one's more geared towards men.
It is.
So a lot of men will be like, they're so, I don't know. Okay, I don't want to get negative. But men will be like, well, I married you. I put a ring on it, type of thing. And it's like.
Is that faces men make?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
No, have a very emojified face. We've talked about this. I do. So, but they should know that I love them is not true. I mean, if you have kids, I think this is going to be an easier analogy if you have kids. Like, you have kids, you think you tell them one time when they're 1 year old that you love them, and then you never have to tell them again. Like, you never have to reassure them. You never have to any of those things. And your relationship isn't any different. Like, you get with someone and the real life comes in, and I don't think men are as vocal about it, but I think that the thoughts do cross their mind. Like, you start thinking, real life sets in, you kind of start getting kind of into habitual relationships, maybe a little bit of bad habits where you're sitting separate and things like that. And then you start thinking, like, do they really love me the same? I'm kind of put on a few extra pounds since we've gotten together, or I don't act the same. I don't dote over them the same. Do they still feel the same way about me? Because the butterfly feeling eventually does go away, but then it's a deeper root of a love that's just really adoration.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell him all the time, I'm like his groupie that follows him around. But it really, you should make it your competition to let your partner know that you love them. Yeah. Like, I'm annoying when it comes to it. I say, I didn't get told.
No, you're not. You're really not.
I didn't get told. I can't, very, 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 very minimally growing up by anyone in my life that they loved me. And I think it was just something psychological that was deep seated in me that I like to tell the people that I truly love. I'm not one, I don't like the friends that just are always like, I love you, I love you, I love you, like to anyone and everyone, because it's so important to me. I don't want to just tell anyone that I love them, and the people that I do love, I tell them all the time. I mean, to the point when my kids are like, you can stop telling me. My 16-year-old, I just ask him now every day. I'm like, have I told you today that I love you? And he's honest. He'll be like, no. And I'm like, I love you. And if he says yes, I'm like, okay. And I don't do it no more. But I tell him I love him all the time.
Yeah. This was something that was really difficult for me because I also come from a family that's not highly affectionate, right? I mean, we say I love you and stuff, but we're not highly affectionate. And I understand being in a marriage, how important it is that it's my responsibility to be affectionate. And that's a really hard thing for me. It's gotten much easier. What's that?
It is his responsibility.
It is my responsibility. And I can't have this unrealistic expectation that, the whole, man thing, I put a roof over your head and I don't punch you in the head. So that must mean I love you. You should know.
We should be great in the bedroom tonight.
Right. Yeah.
Everything should be good to go.
Yeah. Good to go. We're good. Right. And that's sad, right? That's just sad. And we laugh about it, but that is the majority of relationships. It really sadly is. And it's such an unrealistic expectation. And I'm not talking about like, I text you, I love you. Now that's nice. Okay. I'm not saying that's not nice, but looking your partner in the face, men, look your wife in her face and stop and slow down and say, I love you.
Yeah. And it gives me butterflies then.
I love you. Like, I love you. It's not a phrase. It's a meaning. It's a passion. It's you mean it. And it is an unfair expectation that they're just supposed to know. That is a cop-out. Believe me, I understand. I'm a guy, and it was not comfortable for me for a long time. I had to get better at it, and I still have a long way to go, but I work hard at it, and you can work hard at it. So, but it can kill your relationship. It honestly can, because if your wife doesn't feel that she's loved, and like she said, then you're not feeling it in the bedroom. Like, okay, why? Of course not, right? Like, why would you? And then these false expectations, these unrealistic expectations, it just takes your whole relationship and starts chipping away at it. And then you realize there's no foundation left.
And going back to, they should know what you're thinking. For some reason, I don't know what it is. I love you.
Sarah, she's so cute.
I do. For some reason, I don't like love you. I don't like that.
Yes.
Like when we're getting off the phone, him and I, when we first got together, I would be like, I love you. And he'd be like, I love you. And then we'd go.
That's how my family does it.
Well, to me, and I'm not saying everybody's like this. I'm saying I'm like this. It's easier for me not to mean it and say it. Like if someone said to me, I love you, and it wasn't someone like, I don't hate them, but I'm not going to look at them and be like, okay, and be rude. It's easier for me to be like, love you too, type of thing for some reason, and it not be as deep to me as me saying, I love you. And when I brought it up to him, and I'm just like, I really don't like that. I really don't like that you just say love you. I really need you to say I love you too. Or I love you. And he's always done it since then. And I don't know why. I mean, he could really be like, it means the same thing to me. You're dumb. And I'm just going to continue to do it the way that I want to do it. And you need to get better. You just need to accept it. He didn't do that.
No. It matters to you.
It matters. And I don't know. I can't tell you why, but it matters. It's like someone sending me K. Okay? Do not send me K.
Don't send anybody
Send
K.
me OK, OKAY.
Don't do that.
You know, like, do not just send me the K. The K to me means whatever. You know?
I don't have enough time to type the O in front of the K.
So I need the I.
Yeah.
I need the I.
Sarah goes, she goes, yes, Dan is that way. How can I fix the problem? So true. He's a great listener too, though, but he's always in fix-it mode if something is wrong. Always. That is a guy.
He's a good listener, but he's always like that.
I'm always. I want to listen, so then at the end I can fix it. And it's not because I'm trying to be a know-it-all. It's because I just want my wife to be happy, and I want her to be happy. And females are much different than men. Like, I can shove something off super easy where my wife is like, no, she's internalizing a lot of things at the same time. So it's different. They don't want us to fix it. They just want us to listen.
So you want to know, I feel like he may not even feel that way, but I feel like recently, we've been together for 10 years, and recently I feel like we have a very, very strong, healthy relationship when it comes to communication. And we're not perfect at it. We still go through slumps where I literally say in my head, I'm like, no, I am not telling him. I am not. Like, he needs to figure this out on his own. You know, and then eventually God breaks me down, you know, and convicts me, like, should you be that way? And sometimes it takes a couple days because I'm stubborn, and I'm like, no, he should know by now. But then I do. But we rarely even get into any arguments or debates or anything ever. And we got in one the other day, and what helped, it was like a huge breakthrough for me. He was in fix-it mode, and I just kept saying, like, you're not listening to me. You're not hearing me. And all of a sudden, a light bulb went on over my head because he's like, what do you need me to say to fix it? And I'm like, I don't want you to have a script that you need to say, you know? And finally, this huge light bulb came on in my head, and I said, what I need from you is when I am talking to you, when I'm getting this upset, and I'm coming to you with something, I need you to look back, repeat to me what I said, and say, okay, this is what I'm hearing you say. I'm hearing you say boom, 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 boom. What would you like me to do? Like, what do you need from me? And that was a huge breakthrough, because what is the number one thing that people say is listening. It's repeating back to the person what they said, so you can make sure that you understood. Because a lot of times we can say something, or we can hear something, and then the person says, that is not what I said. And they'll even use different words, and we didn't hear it. We didn't hear it that way. So a lot of times, if I'm saying something to him, will hear it a completely different way than the actual words that came out of my mouth. So if you repeat back to the person, this is what I'm hearing you say, or this is what I'm hearing you need. Is this right? Okay, now what do you need from me? It covers so many hurdles of frustration. And I don't know why I never thought about that before. A lot of times I just kept saying, you're not hearing me. You're not listening. And he was trying to listen in the way that he thought what I was saying.
I was trying to comprehend it in the way that I was viewing it, and that doesn't always work.
No.
Sometimes we have to go real simple, especially women when you're talking to men. You have to break it down real simple.
I thought you were going to say that the other way around for a minute, and I'm like, whoa.
Apparently not. But you have to, you have to break it down. Like, the guy's trying to get to the end. We just want to get to the end, okay? In a lot of things. Like, we just want to get to the end. We just want to the end. And I'm not wrong. And that's the problem, is that's what guys are. Like, oh, let's just skip over all this stuff. Oh, let's get to there. Let's get to that and fix it. And let's just take care of it. Then we can move on. We don't have to worry about it anymore. And we can be done with this whole thing. And that's just not the case. That's so unrealistic. It really is. That's why, like, patience, understanding, slowing down. And then I love what she says, repeat back what I'm hearing from you. Mm. Now we can have a realistic expectation of how the rest of it's going. She's like, whoa. Whoa. Right. It's funny because Mark earlier goes, he goes, seriously laughing out loud right now. Well, I married ya. Married you. Right. With the lip all up. Married ya. Yeah. So anyway, it's tough when we talk about expectations, false expectations, unrealistic expectations, especially in marriage and relationships, friendships with your parents, your children.
Yeah.
When we put these crazy expectations on other people, they become unrealistic. Mm-hmm. We can expect certain things, okay, but most of our expectations are so high. There's a quote, and I don't know it by heart, but I can get it pretty close. It's by Tony Robbins. He says, most of us expect that we can accomplish too much in 1 year, but we don't expect enough. We don't think we can conquer it in 10 years. And that's because of our expectations. That's how our expectations work. We think we can fix everything right now, that everything can be good today. Like I should be able to just zip to the end and fix all this stuff. And my expectations are this. And then we forget about the long haul. In relationships, we have to have healthy expectations so we can be happy in 10 years, so we can be happy in 30 years. We have to have healthy expectations.
Yeah, and I think in this day and age, too, what the issue is, or what's really getting blurry with it, is the terminology that's getting thrown around a lot, and we use it because I believe in it, is healthy boundaries. And people now are getting their false expectations that they're projecting on other people. They're setting that as a boundary. So it's like you're expecting this person to act a certain way or be a certain way, and when they don't, you say they're crossing your boundary. And having healthy boundaries and putting unrealistic expectations on people are two completely different things.
I completely agree.
And you need to make sure that you are setting healthy boundaries so that toxic or narcissistic or abusive, mentally, emotionally things aren't being done to you, but you also better make sure that those expectations that you're putting on other people, that you're not being that toxic, narcissistic person to them by the unrealistic expectations that you're putting on them, and then trying to hide behind, well, that was a boundary and you crossed it. Boundaries are only for if it's going to be hurtful to you in a harmful way. That's it. So you need to make sure that you recognize that.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up. I think it's important that we design things in our relationship to benefit it, not to hurt it or take away from it. You know, and boundaries should be for a healthier relationship, not so you can have an excuse so you don't have to do certain things
or change yourself.
Or engage in stuff. You know, so for the challenge this week, you know, we really want to challenge you guys with speaking to your partner and ask them, what unrealistic expectations do I put on you? And,
or a friend, a close
friend. Yes,
like
a friend,
the closest
a parent.
person in your life that you have. You should be able to have a healthy conversation with that person and say, do you ever feel like I put unhealthy expectations on you?
I would say, yeah, but I would say that you probably do everybody. We do it naturally. It's an unfortunate thing. We project ourselves on other people. So yeah, ask somebody that's close to you, you know, do I put unrealistic expectations on you? And that'll give you an insight of things that you're like, okay, this is something that I need to change about myself then. You know, this is a healthy conversation to have, because you want to take your faith, your family, and your future to the next level. You have to be willing to grow. And to grow, we have to stretch ourselves. We have to be willing to invite people into conversations that we feel uncomfortable with if it's going to offer us insights in how we can change as a human. And that's the only way that we're going to change. So
yeah, and especially when it's someone that, like me, I try so hard to constantly be personally growing. I mean, reading the Bible as much as possible and reading personal development books and listening to audibles and having prayer time. And I'm trying so hard. The last thing I want is for someone to come up to me and lovingly tell me where I need to improve. And that is prideful. And I need to be open. I'm never going to be perfect. I'm never going to be enough. And I struggle with that. So I put false expectations on myself to try to always be better. But then I also need to make sure that I don't start being prideful in the sense that just because I'm trying so hard, not everyone knows if you're trying so hard. Not everyone knows that you're reading all these personal development books. And actually none of it matters. You're only doing it for you. You're only reading the Bible for you. God doesn't need you to read the Bible. He knows it already. So you're only reading the Bible for you. And that doesn't mean that you're still not going to go out and you're still not going to hurt someone, or you're still not going to act a fool some days when you haven't had enough sleep or you're hungry. So you need to make sure that you're staying in tune with yourself and letting the Holy Spirit convict you, and be grateful for that conviction, because he loves you enough to be paying attention to you out of all the billions of people in the world to convict you of something that you need to improve on.
Amen. Nothing else to say.
Yeah.
That's all we got.
That's my soapbox for
That's
today.
it. That's the soapbox. I want to thank everybody for being here. You can join us next week. Next week, we're going to talk about some New Year's stuff, so it's going to be fun. So,
I am so excited to talk about 2021, because who is ready to kick 2020 out of here? Yeah, we're going to be like Babe Ruth. Bye.
Babe Ruth, when he was hitting the ball. He struck out just as much. All right. So we will see you guys. Have a great week. Next Tuesday, 7 p.m.
Bye.